Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. It's Sunday, September 8th. It's been a week since we talked, and I just have a lot of updates for you and a really interesting perspective that I want to go through with you that involves astrology. So if you don't do astrology, just still hang in there because my job is to translate astrology into something that matter that you can take home and use. So stick with me, right? So thank you. The title for today is our biggest challenge, and I'm not kidding. I think this is one of the biggest challenges we've, dealt with in this lifetime to date. So let's just figure out what all that is about. Okay. And I'm glad there's some people coming in over here on the chat. So thank you. All right. So solar flare update. It's been mild. Mild and yet not mild at all and consistent. So mild meaning that there's still high level C. I think the highest set C. We've had C 5, 6, 7, 8 solar flares, class C class solar flares, and we had at least an M class every day. We started last Sunday with an M5.5, and the highest one this week was an M3.3. So, we're still in the tower. We're still having things sort of clashing in on us and telling us what, shake, shake, shake. Are you ready to put this down yet? Are you ready to stop? And I'm thinking, gosh, when is this gonna cease? But I think now after going into this topic that we're going to go into today, that the flares have been preparing us. They've been preparing us for um, the ability to put down what no longer serves us and to pay attention to where we are, what's tapping us on the shoulder and what's saying it's time for change. It makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to start with there's an astrologer that is really edgy, intense, Ange Stoic, ANGSTOIC. He's on Facebook. Ah, there are times when I go to read him and it's way over my head. And I go like, is there a jewel? Is there something I can harvest out of this? And he wrote something yesterday, it came out yesterday morning, and I sent it around to a couple of my friends, and they were like, wow, this is intense. And so I'm going to translate what it is he talked about in my own words. And I might be using some of his, but just know that that's where this comes from. So he talks about the 29 degrees of Capricorn in astrology. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we talked about last week. And this is intense, right? And the way that he described it, which I don't think I totally made sense of, is that on September 1st, last Sunday, Pluto, this little powerful, intense planet, right? That means death, that is rules Scorpio, moved out of Aquarius. It was in Aquarius for a little while, back into Capricorn. And it's going to take 6 weeks to travel through 29 degrees. And then on October 11th, it's going to stop and it's going to go direct. And it's going to come back for 6 weeks, ending on November 19th. So it means we have 12 weeks of this 29, not even 28, not 1 degree Aquarius, but 29 degrees in Capricorn. And then on November 19th, we're going to go into Aquarius for the next 48 years, or not 48 years, till 2048. Sorry. Okay. So Capricorn at 29 degrees, if you can look it up, go 29 degrees Capricorn has some words associated with it, which is ambition, structure, responsibility. So it's how we hold our leadership. And we talked about this last week in the physical world, right? It's also 29 degrees on a bigger picture, right? Is mastery. It's major transitions. It's a marker for soul evolution. It's not easy. It creates anxiety and stress. So you can go look at where, if there's anything in your chart that has 29 degrees, and know that it is a difficult path because you're always facing something that's working or not working. You're always looking at what it is that I have to take on and remove, right? Whew. So according to Ainge, this is our lust for control. In Capricorn. The reason it's been in Capricorn since 2008. It's our lust for control, dominion, authority, and status. And it's like, oh man, that just hits. It hits really hard because it's where all the systems have been set in place and we get to look at the systems. It's where it's, what do I want to say, hierarchical. It's where we've established you gotta work your way up the ladder. You gotta honor the principal of the school and then the teacher and your father, your grandfather, the president, the pope, I mean, the queen of England, like this, the king of England. Now, this is where we established hierarchy, right? It's also patriarchal. It's like within the last 2,000, 3,000 years, this has become a very male leadership based world, right? Um, It's where our conditioning, our programming, and our imprinting has been teaching us for over 100 years now, going on, well, at least 100 years here in the US, as far as this is the role, this is what we want you to do, this is why we have you in school, this is what your position on this earth is. And I'm going to say that in the Western cultures and in the US in particular. So Ainge is like edgy, right? I told you. And he says, this is where we pimped our souls for the system. This is where we said, oh man, if I can just get the job and work for him for 20 years, get the gold watch, then I've pimped my soul. I've sold myself to get the stable money, the title, the status. Now, some of us aren't doing that anymore, but it's still so present in our culture. It is so there, right? So, this is what the conditioning looks like. It's where we've been in a world that may not be ours, it may not fit, right? And 29 degrees is called the judgment. It's where you come up on how did I navigate through that? How much pimping did I actually do? Or how much freedom did I create for myself? It's really interesting to watch how judgment comes up in this. When we talk about hierarchical, patriarchal, when we talk about the fact that this is where we have very specific things that we have bought into and controlled. This is where we have this version of ourselves that has been wrapped up into societal expectations, roles that we play, things that we do that are under review right now in the 29 degrees. So it makes sense that, we can say the solar flares have stirred up all this stuff. They've awakened our awareness. Our clairs are coming on board. We are just totally aware and we don't like what we're seeing. We're seeing this. We're seeing ourselves tied in knots and controlled. We also can feel the sheer pressure of what happens when all of these institutions have their thumb on top of us saying, this is how you need to learn. This is how your kids need to go to school. This is how your children need to be treated, vaccinated, and medically treated. This is how you make an income. This is how you pay taxes. This is how you do your spirituality. So these are all these things that just sort of push on us, right? And I like the idea that there's this little judgment angel, right? Sort of going like, yeah, but do we? Because the 9 is like, let's toss some of that stuff off of us, right? So it makes sense to me that our shit is up. We've been climbing towards this since June. We were in Aquarius and we're like, wow, this is different. And then it went back into Pluto went back into Capricorn. And since September 1st, we're doing that 29-degree thing, right? So this is where we're talking about how to surrender control. Where am I in control? Where did I believe that control was the best way to navigate in this world, right? How do I re-examine the old structures? Like, who said that nuclear families are the best way to raise children? Who said that public education was actually a gift to our children? These are my perspectives, of course, right? How do we remove the superficial, The superficial things like, man, if I get my hair colored, if I have a great car, if I live in this neighborhood, if we have to work 2 to 3 jobs in order to pay for this status that we hold, those are the superficial things that are going to collapse under this 29 degrees because it's not sustainable, right? This is how we explore the idea that we got into this belief system of production, which is I'm only valuable if I produce something. And so we can spend some other times later on throughout the month looking at production. If that's something you want, please put comments down there so that we can talk about it, right? And so I have a funny story for you because I've been in this Ainge work, and I'm like, I want to translate this. I want to bring this to you on video today, and it's dark and it's heavy and it's like, wow, this is a big, big, big invitation to do some changes. And last night about 10 o'clock, when I was doing some notes, I hear this little crunching outside because I put cat food out for this cat that lives in the neighborhood. And it's a different kind of sound. And I go out there and there's this little skunk. And I'm like, ah, get. Well, of course, it sprays. Sprays the screen door, sprays the porch. The whole back of the house smells like skunk. I think it actually sprayed itself because no matter where it went throughout the night, you could smell skunk. So it came around and it went in another window and I could smell it. I could smell skunk all night long. It got to the point where I sort of had the pillow over my head going like, there's a skunk smell in my house. This is horrible. And then it went away about 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I sit down to write, and the skunk smell kind of wafts in through the screen door again, or a different door, front door, right where I'm sitting. And I'm like, skunk, what the heck is it with the skunk, right? So, I go, why don't you look it up and find out what skunk means? Because there's no way that this random skunk just showed up on your porch out of nowhere, never been here before. And so this is in the Ted Andrews medicine cards. I think it's Ted Andrews. No, it's not, but it's medicine cards. And I love the little skunk, right? And so I look it up. I'm like, wow, what's the energy of the skunk, right? And courage, confidence, and fearlessness. And I'm like, oh, of course. This is absolutely why the skunk has been showing up because it's about having courage. It's about asserting boundaries. It's about embracing our own authority over somebody else's because skunks don't really care what other people do, right? Um, it's supporting our own inner strength, right? And so having this skunk here and telling us this is a time where we need to be courageous, confident, and fearless. And I went like, of course, it makes sense. That's exactly why this skunk showed up. And so that's just how my world works. That's just how I roll. Something shows up and I go, oh, well, why is that there? So, as we go into Aquarius, as we navigate through this, there's something else I would share, which is that I pull moon cards on the new moon, and this is my heart of the matter. It's been showing up in different parts of my moon phases throughout the last 2 to 3 months. So, what this tells me, if you look at how radiant the heart is, and it's the Ace of Cups. It's a new beginning on the emotional level. It means that we take our heart intelligence and we calm down the solar flares. We calm down our energy system. We calm down our mental thoughts, and we navigate from this radiant heart as opposed to, oh no, this isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working, and getting ourselves into places like this. So what it tells me is that this is our choice right now, is how to navigate over these next 6 weeks and follow what frees us from control, from status, from the things that are crumbling already around us. So I hope that makes sense because, oh, that was one more thing I had here, because when we go into Aquarius, right, what we're doing is we gotta move all this stuff. We gotta unpack all of this baggage and lineage off of us because we're going into a new future where there's nothing but possibilities. I love this. This is how Osho looks at dominion, is like you can throw dominion off and then open it up into possibilities. You partner with the world and you create it the way you want. And I was like, I love this. Okay. So, quick blurb. Last week I asked for help. I said, "Oh my goodness, I am at a spot where I need some support from you." And I am so grateful with everything that came in, all of the messages, the cups of coffee, the PayPal, the Venmo. Thank you. And I just wanted to sort of make sure that you know that that's always available, number one. And I really appreciate it. It takes work to step out of the conditioned path and start to do more of this and build this up as what my passion is. So I really appreciate the support and love. And it's for those of you, you know exactly who you are. I'm so touched. Thank you. Number two, we are doing a discussion group. There were two of us, or three of us, two women plus myself, on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. There's a link down below. Come join us. It's a place where we can talk about this. We can talk about our 29 degrees. We can talk about Capricorn. We can see what's going on, right? So there's a link for you to join on that as well. We'd love to have you. We want to build this discussion group. There's 6 spots, so jump in there as soon as you can and get that booked. All right, tips. I have 5 tips for you. Number 1, own that you're in 29 degrees. You know I'm going to say that. Own it. Own it, because the whole world is in 29 degrees too. This isn't just me. This isn't just you. We aren't just going like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest part of my entire chart. No, we are all, everyone in this world in 29 degrees at this time. So look up 29 degrees, right? And create your own perspective, create your own navigational path and motivation. Like, what do I do with this? What is this about for me? Because there's going to be pressure, there's going to be anxiety, because part of what happens in 29 degrees is that the anxiousness comes up. And so we've had anxiousness at different times have been highly associated with the solar flares. And we've also been zigzagging across this 29 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th time since March in 2023. So when that anxiety and stress goes up, we can attribute it to a lot of different things. I'm going to say, go explore your 29 degrees, right? Because that'll tell you how you're supposed to navigate to October 11th and then navigate to November 19th. So that's the first one. Go find your 29 degrees. Go find out what you think about that. Now, this is also where our special talents and our mastery and our geniuses start to emerge. So I don't know how many of you have discovered that your clairs, that your sensitivities are up, that your intuition is just rock solid. And this is where we find our hidden gifts. This is where the things that we didn't know that were phenomenally important are starting to come out, and they differentiate us from other people. They stand out. Maybe some people around us like it, maybe they don't, but we want to go find them and we want to use them. So this is where you look for your special talents, right? And this will help you with the agitation, with the stress, with the anxiety, with the fear. And so, that's where I know that the more I tap into my heart intelligence, the more that I trust that and use that to navigate and become very vulnerable in how I lead with that, that's where my special talents lie. So what are yours? So that's number 2. Number 3, keep defining your boundaries and be rock solid with them. I will not let you talk to me like that. We're not going to have a discussion when you use that tone of voice, or I will not be coming in because I've worked this many hours so far. It's where you put those, because this isn't the time to wiggle around. This isn't the time to open some gaps and let some old patterns sneak in. This isn't the time to crumble. This is the time to be fearless. Go to your skunk, have courage, be absolutely fearless, right? Because what's happening is that we want to step into self-advocacy. We want to step into our own sovereignty and stop being compliant, stop compromising, stop submitting, because this is where that goat energy, that stubborn Capricorn, can sort of really serve us, right? Okay, number 4. Create your own support people or use your own support people, right? Your tribe. You need people and support around you to go, am I crazy? Because we've been doing that here. Oh, I thought I was the only one going through this. This is hard. And it may be that you don't have anybody in your world around you that actually knows what this is, because the percentages are much smaller of these hearts that are awakening and starting to sort of shine and lead. So we came here. We came here to do this job, right? And so what we want to do is we want to find someone we can talk about the deep work with. Now, I have this beautiful friend, Tara, and at any given time, something might be going on, and she'll pick up the phone and she goes, Are you feeling this? Are you seeing this? And I'm like, yeah, of course I am. And so now we have connected across thousands of miles, and we're right back there supporting each other and going, that's exactly. So I send her age and she comes right back and she goes, wow, it's intense. And we are just finding out how to support one another through this one. Right. And that's what this support group, that's what our discussion group, that's what the comments underneath here as we talk to each other. That's what this whole page or channel is all about, is let's support one another. Right. So get your support group and get it in place. And number 5, have compassion, because what we're going through is intense. It's almost as if this feels like, to me, like this was the purpose. This is our purpose. This is our assignment. This is the reason that we're here. Because, we've been doing 29 degrees of different things throughout all of our life, but this is a big one. And with the solar flares pummeling us, we're going through it. Other people are going through it. This is where we hold compassion and love for the whole process. So thank you for tuning in today. Like, subscribe, pass this around to someone in your tribe and go, does this ring a bell to you? And if you want to support me, continue on with that. I would love that. And maybe I'll see you in the discussion group. Take care. See you next week. If not, take care. Bye-bye.